Convincing is me trying to get you to do something that I want you to do for my own selfish reasons, for my own reasons. But persuading is just simply giving you the opportunity for you to do what you want to do for your reasons. And people love to buy. You know that. You've seen your Amazon purchases. You saw all those boxes out your door, right? But people hate to be sold to. And with that said, since I can't convince you guys for 20 more extra minutes, that's all I got for today. And thank you so much. This is, if you guys want to slide, like,
we know how it works.
Yeah.
So you'll start sending us.
No, if you get the slides, this is a WhatsApp chat to just the slides link. I'm not gonna text you guys. Like, full disclaimer, I'm here to give value. I don't even know you guys even like fit my profile. I have zero ideas. Some of you guys are, corporate. So text slides to here. I promise not to send you any promotional things, just the slides. Okay?
Are you convincing or persuading?
But I know that these slides will help you if you've never heard of embedded commands before. I just went over like just a sliver of the things that I know. And also the workflow and the script. So those are I feel very useful. I wish people told me about these things, but it took me years to learn this. And what I discovered is you can have all the automation in the world, but if you don't understand the psychology of the sales process, it's kind of moot, and when you go to sales events and sales conventions, it's amazing to learn all the latest tools, all the great things, like, Big Sister AI and everything like that, just amazing, just crazy power in the palm of your hand. But if you don't understand sales psychology, it's kind of like having an amazing sales team, but really horrible marketing, so you're like swimming upstream, or having just very few team members, but they're so powerful because the way in which they speak and communicate is so damn compelling that you only need a few people to generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales for yourself or for your company.
Thank you.
All right, if you have some questions
right now.
Well, you started with the whole thing started with tale about the automation, and then it was a standard sales speech, and then it was the word that automation is not important without the great sales team, and we're about to listen about automation. I feel cheated. Where is the portion about the automations that you were selling us for at the very beginning? Where is the automation piece?
Oh, you felt like,
Well, this is what you started talking about the automation at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like that. Hey.
Well, the piece that I included that was automation is all of the non-sales part, which is first this happens, then this clicks, this workflow happens, and I'm like happy to get into all of those.
Small automation.
Well, interesting.
I feel like that was the point of her story. Is she said, look, we ramped up and did like $200,000 in 60 days. Here's how we did it with simplicity through automation. So
Yeah.
I felt like that was the point of the story.
I didn't want to get into deep, technical automation because that's not my presentation.
The playbook, it's not about
Thank you for defending me.
My pleasure, Kim. I thought it was an incredible presentation, so thank you so much. My question is, so you said you have a first call, and really that's to really, embed these commands in the prospect's mind. And then the second call is where you do the presentation. So you also said in the first call you're really doing more qualifying. I was wondering, is there an automated step? So, Jane does on and signs on for a call before the presentation. Do y'all already know household income, if she owns several houses? Okay, so I assume, okay.
Yeah, so from that form, like when they hit the landing page is a form where they're filling out like how much do they have to invest, where are they at, but people lie on those
Yeah,
forms.
so you're confirming it through like
Yeah.
an API or Clay or something like that?
We, well, this is very basic. I also have a different company where we score it, so they fill out a type form. The type form with the conditional logic scores their answers. The score itself is reported in our CRM, and we have two types of scoring. So before the call scoring, we see the score, and then post call, the sales closer will rate 1 to 5 what type of lead that person is, so that we can compare the two scores. But yeah, people lie on forms so much that you do need a human being to kind of like see what they're actually at. And then there's other software like, for example, Simple Check will just check your credit score even before you show up. So say their credit score, which means that if your sales is based on them getting financing, which I mean for a $35,000 store, we do have financing options available. So having the credit score is important. But yeah, like that's the type of automation that we would put into place. Again, it's pretty grassroots, right? Like type form, conditional logic, score, zaps from Zapier to the CRM inside of the notes, and then and then there's a lot more advanced automation as well. Like for example, I wouldn't say it's advanced; it's still grassroots. But if you record a Zoom recording, you can use Zapier to extract that Zoom recording. You can have like an AI agent control that. Not using Zapier, but make it better for that. To take that, upload it into otter.ai. Otter.ai will transcribe it. When it transcribes, you can then send the transcription over to Claude.ai. Claude.ai will, with a certain prompt around the project, will say, hey, based on this transcription, please act like a sales manager and see if the sales closer, enroller is following the script, and how close they're following the script, and if they are doing that, and give me a report, and from that report, you can go and export that report as like a message that goes into Slack. So like whenever there's a call, you could have that kind of like wraparound to give you the QA that you need. And that, I mean, that applies for like a tiny team, that also applies for a bigger team, but that's the type of automation that I've experienced and witnessed. I could have gone way deep into automation, but I feel like someone else would do that. I wanted to show you, because there's a lot of corporate presentations that are available with Sales OStin. I kind of want to throw a different flavor in there, you know? Like, I'm a female, I'm going to show up all pink, and I'm going to show you guys like this other flavor that you guys wouldn't experience from a speaker up here. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim.
You want to pull up your slides? Yeah.
What's first?
Send the presentation over here because this clicker needs a certain software to be downloaded.
That's exactly what I did.
Okay.
So you sent, yeah.
No, did you send it?
To email?
No, it's, I sent you the link.
You sent it.
If it's Apple, you can air.
Oh, yeah.
I have AirDrop on. Is it Apple?
Okay, I see.
Cool. Do this. Yeah, I just made it discoverable by everyone.
I want maybe to remind that we will see different ways how people are doing their business, and our general goal maybe to when we invite speaker, we say them that our general goal is to do the discussion. So it's very great when we have questions, and feel free to ask and maybe to share your experience sometimes. If you have next experience in new topics what we are talking today we have interesting presentation from small teams and from Brandon, who will introduce some big teams and small teams too. So you're welcome to feel free to ask the questions. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, hold on, I'm gonna request access, so
It's
you have to
coming.
approve.
Is it coming in?
Okay, approve access.
It's so hard, so sorry for this, so. It's like automation.
Time to drink, yeah, something.
I'm not sure that I can do this, but.
I don't see it.
I think it's when you get another grant.
Yeah, because,
Oh, you don't have the ability to share, huh?
Yeah.
You give me your email address, Kim?
KIM dot, or KIM at Look, you can click review and just accept it.
Oh.
Or that's fine. Yeah, click it.
Last time we spoke about some different presentation which we have, and that's why Kim says that this time it's not like for corporate, because we had one event where we spoke about SAP, Oracle. It was so huge processes and like maybe not playbooks, but we talked about so complicated processes.
Alright, well, you let me.
Yeah, but
With sales presentation from SAP,
Yes.
Yeah.
you simply sit and sign the POs.
Yeah, there's a PhD from so the next speaker, Brandon, and Brandon maybe can share his experience and his vision for the playbook, and maybe it's a little bit different, yeah?
What's that? The what?
It can be a little bit different.
It is gonna be a little bit different, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe not so big.
You know, it's, everyone has a playbook. So playbooks aren't like rocket science, but what I find is when you step into a company, it's like, you know, everyone has one, but it seems like no one's using it. It's like, what, you know, it's like, oh, it's just a book. I mean, I've gotta go sell, I don't have time for all this. But I do have a question for everyone. How many of you here have actually sold? How many of you believe that you are all in sales?
What do you mean? Everyone who interviewed anyone in their life has sold.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like, it's one of those things that, like, you know, people, oh, I've never sold before. Oh, yes, you have. CEOs, great salespeople. Raising money, great salespeople. If you're trying to get a marketing plan approved, salespeople. Trying to get a product approved, selling. It's all there. I thought I would start a little bit about me. And you made me think of a funny story. And by the way, another round of applause for Kim. The interesting thing about sales is, nowadays there are tracks in college to go into sales. But when I was in college, there weren't tracks. And it's like, how in the world do you find sales? When you go to college, I'm going to be a lawyer, a doctor, I'm going to be an economist, a marketing person. So when I was in college, I got recruited to go sell books door to door. Now this was like in the 90s, so I'm just saying, like, maybe I look 30, but I'm not. So I got recruited to sell books door to door, and I'm like, yes, everything you just sold up there, they had all that locked down. It was in my dorm room. I was out by the time I had to go 12 hours away from home, North Carolina. They wanted to make sure that you were far enough from home that you couldn't get home quickly. And then they put you in training for like a week, and then you had weekly sales meetings, and guess what? Then we had metrics, conversions, have to knock on 20 doors to get into 5 houses, to make 2 presentations, that's where I learned about sales. And let me tell you, it was hard. I wanted to quit every day. I'd call my dad, sounds like things are bad, I need to come home. No, son. You need to stay, you need to stick this out, you need to make this happen. I finished top 5% of the nation that summer, but I gotta tell you, Like, in all of my career, there's been some tough things, that was the hardest thing for done in sales. You know, it really was. Then I've got some scars from dogs and, you know, from other things, because that little book bag you carry around, it really looks attractive to a dog. So a little bit more about me on sales. My career started at Dell. I started at Dell in SMB and then moved into mid-market and then moved into enterprise. And then I finished my career at Dell selling, I built a partnerships and alliance division from 0 to 350 million. Now, it was just a good run. You know, I got experience in all the areas. And I thought, wow, this is great. I thought it was gonna be my big career. I got this recruiting call that said, hey, you know, we're building out this SaaS company and we're $7 million and you sound like a sales expert because you've done all these things. And I'm like, yeah, I am. So then I show up to this growth company and they had all these big plans. I show up and I gotta tell you, I looked around and there was no CRM. There were no comp plans, not even job descriptions. Nobody knew how to recruit. And in 6 months, I thought I was gonna quit. I'm like, I am not prepared for this. Big company guy goes to a small company and starts building it out. I'm like, Lord, I just don't know if I can make it. But I stuck with it. And then over the probably about 8-year period, we grew the company from 7 to 75 million. It was a good run. We made a couple of small acquisitions, product and people, not revenue. It helped us get there. Went through pricing evolution where we went from user-based pricing into tier-based pricing, and then basic plus pro. We built out our existing, then we took it, we scaled it in EMEA, APAC, and Latin America, and over that time, what a great experience. But when I did that, there was nothing like this around. Like, what you do and what you do for companies is big. Like, I could have shaved that 8 years down to probably 3 if I would have had companies like yours. I mean, I'm absolutely confident. But instead, I look like, if you shave my head, I probably look like a prisoner because I got lots of scars, chipped teeth, broken bones, because it was hard showing up. Because everything was an experiment. Let's try this, A, B, C, D. Fail, 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 there's a success. Nowadays, you've got groups like Pavilion, companies like yours, that just make a world of difference. Make no mistake that every go-to-market problem you're having today, it's been solved by someone, somewhere. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, you just have to have the network to get you there, and that's important. The other thing is I thought I offered something special now. I worked at this big company, now I worked at this growth company. I'm like, well, I'll just go do this for other companies. So I decided to become an outsourced CRO, outsourced chief revenue officer. Basically come in, I would evaluate 12 growth drivers and I would high grade the top 5, the ones that make the most immediate impact to revenue. And then after that, in parallel, I would work on them and get it back to double-digit, triple-digit growth. And then I would hire my backfill. And I did it over and over and over. I would say about 70% success. Not all CEOs are telling the truth when they say we're willing to do what it takes. Because there are sacred cows. What that means is there are people, they're about family, even though they're bad for the role. But still though, you ask for that commitment up front. I got a lot more selective after some of that stuff for sure. So that was actually really good. I got a little tired of that. And one of the companies I was working with, actually, we had an opportunity to raise some capital. We raised capital, raised 25 million, startup. Within about 2 years, lost it all. So I'm not here just talking about my successes. I believe I probably failed 4 times and succeeded 3 times, but what that does, it brings something very special. Like, if you talk to anyone that hasn't failed or doesn't talk about it, you probably need to talk to someone else. Because this failure here was a big black eye. It hurt. It hurt me here because we were doing something great. Not only in SaaS, we were impacting diversity, equity, inclusion. We were impacting the environment. We were doing big things. We were gonna go global. We had a great CEO. We just couldn't get it off the ground fast enough. The last thing here, I decided that I was gonna get back into the market and said, you know what, I got recruited by a private equity firm to go into a $75 million food and beverage software company. Hasn't grown organically in 2 years. And they had acquired 12 companies, and I just kind of have some experience and go to market. They were like, well, you'd be great. We took it from 75 to 140 million in those 2 years, but it wasn't easy either. This is a company that's tight on EBITDA, and they won't spend money on tools like yours. And it was like horrible, I couldn't get anything. But the thing about playbooks that everyone needs to know is you don't have to have all the fancy tools to have a good playbook, to have the metrics. You got Excel, you got Google Sheets, all you gotta have is the brain power to make it happen. Now where I'm at today, I've been traveling in this job for probably, I don't know, 19 months. I traveled to 17 countries. I have 2 boys. They're 10 and 12. And I found that I hadn't been in their lives for that long, and I decided I need to do something different. And that a CRO role, if you guys know, is it's almost like when you take the role, there's almost a target on you, right? Like, whenever the revenue doesn't hit, they don't really fire the CEO, they come after whoever the growth leader is. The average tenure of a CRO is 18 months. For good, bad, or different, could be restructuring, whatever. I'm like, I can't do that to my kids, my family. I took a number 2 spot at Company Cam, and what I wanted to find a growth company that was amazing, that had high growth, where I could work in the shadows and do big things with growth backing me up. 14 million, 34 million, 73 million last year. This year we're going to 125 million, and then 250. We're on track. The low case 160, the high case is 250. And I'm the one that's really responsible for the 170 to 250, because I can unlock revenue streams, and a lot of it comes back to Playbook. So, I'm going to share this with you because this is actually, when I came into the company, what I wanted to know is, I want to know where all the revenue is. I want to know what the gross net retention is. So I created this pyramid here. It's not new, but I mean, I'll say that I borrowed the pyramid and made it my own. How about that? Okay, so, but at the bottom, the reason why I share this, in a playbook, you're going to either be in micro, small, medium, mid-market, enterprise. There's some flavor of this. So I'm like, okay, tell me where we are. Where's our starting point? If you look here, you're going to see this is, I took our revenue off just because we're a private company, but I had it on there before, but I took it off. Here you'll see that these 1 to 2 micro companies, we got 11% revenue, but it's 73% gross, 83% net. It churns. We have no control over it, no control. SMB, 77, 95. But when you got pyramid median, we got 83 and 106, 88 and 109. Ooh, this is better, this is more healthy, and it's this much revenue, how do we make it more? So I said, how about we paint a picture of where we want to go? Because if we can buy into this, it changes the landscape of the company about what we do. And when I say that, if you've got an entire company that knows everything you need to know about SMB, and I step in and I'm like, I'm a mid-market enterprise guy, and I'm like, I got all these ideas. They're like, you tell them, they're just like, what does that mean? You know, like, sales cycles, long sales cycles, comprehensive plans, account plans, and so on. So this right here, this is where we're going. We're going to build this out, and this is where your playbook is going to be either 1, 2, 3, or 4 of these. And we're going to build this out, continue growing this, but we're going to have 70% of our revenue up in enterprise, mid-market, and medium. And that's where we're headed. I share this because in these scenarios, the playbook here, and here, and here could be different. I know for a fact this is different than this. And I know for a fact that this is different than this. So when you're doing your playbook, you just need to know, right? What's really interesting is they were just doing this only, and they found some of these companies coming to them. And just like, oh, well, I'll take 2 users of this, and I'm a 500 employee company. Okay, great. Here it is, bye. So this is important when it comes to playbook. I thought I would share. In this presentation, I want you guys to know that what I've done is I've outlined the playbook. It's not going to be rocket science, but I tried to integrate some things that I'm doing or have done in it as well, real life. So it'll look a little bit different. All right, so this diagram, I tried to make it more simple because we're in a presentation, but at the end of the day, you guys all know about Target and ICP. I mean, I know you know it. You see it on LinkedIn all the time. You hear about it. Everybody's posting on it. And you're like, oh, well, I've got enough information on that. But it is important. It is important to know what it is. Because even in my company, I see that our Target, ICP, and SMB, and mid-market enterprise are all different. They're all different. And you've got to change the landscape of the company to let them know that, hey, this doesn't work here. We've got to change it in product, sales, RevOps, marketing, all of it. Next up, sales processes and stages. Maybe this is in your world, right? It's like, do you have them? Do you honor them? Do you coach, manage, train, measure, track, and measure against them? And then the other one, oops, sorry. I'm still a beginner on the clicker. Sales motions and tactics. A lot of times what happens in companies is you have marketing doing this wonderful marketing, And then sales are selling in a different way. It's like, for some reason, it's not, the sales motion is not matching up to what's marketing. It's like, how do you make it align? And we'll talk more about that. Metrics. Everyone knows, like, more people talk about metrics than they do actually use them. Stepping into this company, the key metrics that I saw that we had sales accepted leads to opened opportunities at 7%. How's that sound to you guys? Low? High? Good? Low, right? They're like, but we're increasing it by 1 or 2%. I'm like, we need to increase it by 25%. I mean, this is a big jump. So metrics are important, and we'll walk through some of this too. And I think on your website, there's a great saying about metrics. I can't remember exactly what it said. I wanted to put it in my presentation, but I got here too late. But you gotta have them, and you gotta have a feedback loop on the metrics. And you can actually figure out what levers you push, pull, who needs to be involved. Marketing, RevOps, sales enablement. Most of the time, it's everyone. But companies look at sellers and say, what is wrong with you in these conversions? Well, I can tell you 90% of the time, it's not just a sales problem. It's a cross-functional problem on these conversions. Now, don't get me wrong. Sellers are sellers, and we all need work and we need help. I consider myself a seller. I'm not on doors door to door. I hold on to that. The last one is success. It's like, how do we make it repeatable and scalable? We got to do that. And when you think about repeatable and scalable, it's like, that's like a buzzword, but it's real. It is real. Having been a part of a couple of failures and some successes, when you feel repeatable, scalable growth, and you manage, measure, and track it, it works. It's nice. Now, this is what I typically stop into right here. This is every month. I would say 90% of the companies I come into, they're just like this. You come in, I evaluated a company. The one that was, I said that we had a bust. I came in to a company that had 17 million in pipeline, and after my evaluation, it was 500K. That's what the real pipeline was. How do we do the evaluation? Because we have sales processing stages. In some stages, it says you need no reason to buy. You need pain by numbers. You need timeline. You need decision makers. And the reality is it wasn't there. It was all fluff, bloat, and it's buried the company. 25 million gone, right? But it was a great learning experience for me because what I did see is that it's not always, you gotta make sure that the metrics that you're measuring, you gotta go deep in these metrics. I've found that sales leaders a lot of times step in the company and they'll either stay up here or they'll stay way down here. Very rarely do you have someone that can actually look all the way through it and work cross-functionally. Muddled messaging, we just talked about this. The messaging, is everyone aligned on the message? And the reality is we talk about messaging, but do we honor the message? If I would go in and I would ask them, like, your marketing, your sales, and your product, ask them the same question. What's the value prop? What's the value prop? What's the value prop? What do you think? All three of them have a different message.
Yeah.
You can ask 3 sales guys and it can be like 3 different.
That's exactly right. Sales, yeah. Not just blaming it on cross-functional people. What I am saying is that it happens all the time. But the closer you can get to alignment and speaking the same language, movement happens. And then poor onboarding. Here's what you need to know. Here's a stat, really important stat, is that, did you know that a seller, in their first 90 days, they decide if they're going to continue working there or not? And a lot of it has to do with onboarding. I have seen 70% of the organizations that have poor onboarding. A seller makes a decision in their head, 90 days in, and they're like, out. Yeah, I'm not sure. And then they quietly quit until they get another job. You know how bad that hurts a company? You don't lose that 6 months. What you lose is a year of quota. You lose $1.3 million because you have to go find, you search, you find, you onboard again, and you do that times 4, and you have a $10 million quota. Guess what? You're fired. You are fired. So you can be the best at recruiting. You can be the best at recruiting, but if you don't onboard, you're going to fail. You got to be recruiting, onboarding, and then you got to come in, get the sales messaging right, launch the sales playbook well, and then actually manage, measure, and track. Give them an incentive. Make them excited. All right. So one of the things I step into companies, a lot of times the companies are going after so many verticals, they're not really honoring one. Gosh, just start with one good one. Maybe 2, maybe 3. You got to know what they are. You got to narrow it down. Because a lot of times companies step in, they're like, oh, this solves problems in healthcare, oil and gas, and also retail, and then they just kind of go after it all, and it doesn't work. And all it does is burn money. And then determining company size. I share the triangle, and at the end of the day, where do you fit? You know, it's like, if you're a startup, pick your path. What's your employee count? What are you going after from a vertical? What are the next one up here is pain points. How many of you have ever felt like they've done a good job finding pain points in the sales call? Or they know a seller that does it? And what does it sound like? Like a pain discovery.
What do you mean pain discovery?
Like, let's say I have a product or service, and I have a discovery call with a prospect, and I want to know if we're a good fit. So we go through a discovery and say, you know, walk me through your current process, you know, and take them down that path.
It's one way, right, of doing things.
Right. Well, let me walk, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, something I like to do is try to get them to justify, like, why they need me before I even make my pitch, like, ask them questions and get them to, like, yeah.
Yes. That's it. Well, I'll just give you like a brief example. So in my company, we have, since we're an SMB motion, everything is transactional. That's what they came into. They wanna buy, great, here it is, buy it, boom. You know, we'll talk to you later. But when you get into mid-market enterprise, you get a little bigger companies, what you need before you do any demo, any trial, any of that stuff, you gotta go through a discovery call. Hey, you know, typically, we start these calls out with, you know, let's talk about your agenda, what is it you wanna make sure we accomplish? Secondly, it's, you know, typically I have questions just to understand your business, just to see if there's something we can help with. Is it okay to ask questions? And then they will say yes. They say at the end of the call, you know, I'm not sure if it's a good fit or not, but would it be okay to just talk about next steps? That's enough for a con check before you start the call. You got permission to ask questions, you're learning about their company, very simple. Then you go in and you find out what's working. Tell me, I walk you through your process, how's that working? They'll usually tell you there's some problems. Can you tell me more? They'll say, well, you know, we have this problem with documentation. Our field workers are going out to the site 3 times during the week. They have to go back out there, and it costs me 2 hours a week times 20 employees. Well, guess what? How much, just curious, how much do they make per hour? Right? Like, oh, they're $25 an hour, so it's not a small problem. I said, is there anything else? This is what they tell me. Well, we've had 2 insurance claims. One of them was 170 and one of them was like 130. So now I just found a $300,000 problem, a time problem that's probably 100,000. Jeez, have you done anything to fix it? No, that's why we're talking to you. I just got permission based on learning that. They got a big problem now. They identified it. I didn't tell them the problem. They told me the problem. And then we put it in dollars. So now when I go pitch them a $50,000 deal, it's no problem, right? So that's what I mean by pain drivers, understanding these pain points. And we can talk about more about that later. I'm really passionate about that because I believe that deals are won or lost in discovery at a certain level. Micro, probably not, maybe not SMB, but they're won or lost in discovery. If every seller believed that and they honored that and went through the process, they could get 10 leads versus 100 and be better off. All right, so understanding the tech stack, it's just like when we work with companies and we're selling technology, we want to know what kind of technology they have internally already. Is it something we can integrate with? Is it something that complements us? Is it something that competes with us? It's just important to know. Why would they buy? Like, why would they buy? At the end of the day, when it comes to purchasing decisions, sometimes internally it's complicated, sometimes it's easy if it's transactional, but it's important to know. All right, so now we talked about a unified message. We talked about typically each seller will have a different marketing product. I mean, they all have a different sales enablement may even be teaching it differently, and everyone's a little bit off. So what do we have for a unique proposition? Now, this is not special, but at the end of the day, you know, my dream state is this. If I ask all 3 of you and the sellers, you know, we're in an elevator, what do you guys do? I would want them to be some version of something very similar. That's a dream state. When you get there, the business changes. Value props, on the proof points, typically when you're walking through that 30 seconds in that elevator, you got some proof points. You know, we're working with a company very similar that had the same problems. And they were doing A, B, and C, and they asked us to step in and do this, this, and this. And here's kind of what, you know, here's kind of how it ended up. You know, we put this in place, and this was, I'm not even sure if that resonates. Oh, yeah, that's good. Well, I mean, if it makes sense to talk, I'm happy to have a meeting. See that, like, disarming type approach. People believe that salespeople are like in your face, I wanna close you, I got commission breath, I need to hit my quota, and like when you know. Anybody? Gold chain, selling car, anything, something like that? Alright, so tactical talk tracks, we just talked about that. One thing to underscore here is competitive considerations. Like, we've done all the work to understand what our value prop is, how we communicate it, but you gotta know as much about the competitors as you do about your product. Because you better believe, if you're a poor salesperson, or your marketing's bad, or your messaging's not aligned, someone else can be doing it better. And if you don't know who they are and what they do and how they charge it, how they sell, it's gonna be a disadvantage for you in your company, in your playbook, for your sellers, for marketing and everyone. And I can go into a mature company, been here 7 years, and just say, give me the competitive landscape for it. I can do it in my company right now. We don't have it. They don't believe we have many competitors. I believe they're wrong. We've got competitors with do nothing. We've got competitors with iPhones, with Google Slides. We have competitors with other companies that we're integrated with. They're all over the place. And guess what? What you gotta be worried about is who's building a better mousetrap in the garage. Look, technology is moving fast. Like, we gotta worry about that just as much. I mean, one of my companies I work at, I mean, there's a good place for a strong number 2. It's fine. You can go build a $100 million business and be number 2. That's fine too. You just need to know who they are. Everybody knows about just a paying funnel, the process and stages. This is not rocket science, but what I'm sharing with you is simple. And then I'm gonna show you what mine is, what I use today in my company. So obviously, there's something up here, either inbound or outbound, or channel partnerships, whatever it is, it's driving something, and this is what I said we win and lose deals in discovery. We talked about the pain discovery, right? This is where it happens, right here. If I catch someone doing a demo and they haven't done this, the likelihood of us winning that deal is pretty low. If they can't answer my compelling issue questions, it's not gonna happen. And then we send out proposals. What I find, anybody watch baseball, even know what a baseball diamond looks like? So a baseball diamond goes like this. You know, you hit the ball, you run to first, you run to second, you run to third, you run home. Very simple. What happens is the sellers, they hit the ball and they get to first, and they're like so exciting, and that first is a meeting. They got that meeting, someone says, oh, we gotta have it. Well, great, let me go ahead and give you a demo. They skip second and third, and they try to score. Well, guess what? You know, they trip trying to go home because they haven't done the proper base running. So, and this is one of mine. Now, this is complex, there's a lot here, but I want you to see that on the top, right here, is this gonna point out?
I don't think so.
Okay, on the top is this is the sales process invitation, but the important thing to see here is if you look right here, you'll see this is the buyer's process. It's important to know what the buyer's process, and make no mistake, it's changing every day with technology. It's changing, and you gotta know what their process is, and you do your best to match your sales process to it. Now this is our sales process. We get a lead, right? It can come from all different places. Channel partnerships, it can come from inbound, outbound, LinkedIn, all the places. But where it goes to is like, okay, now let's see if we can set up the meeting. We can get the first. We get that meeting, what do we do next? We go to discovery. And in this is where I say we're gonna lose the deals. You've got need for the services, paid by numbers, budget, decision, criteria, internal champion. You know these things before you progress. If you progress before this, there's less likelihood you're winning the deal. That's it. And if you don't really do this, you may not be providing a good customer experience, because this actually helps you partner with the customer. They see you as a trusted advisor because you're asking the right questions to solve their problems. And on the demo side, you know, you'll see that this, if you look right here, you'll see lead, discovery, demo, proposal, sent, pilot, test, negotiation. If I catch someone here in proposal, and I do it every day, all the time, I'm just waiting for it, I see it. 60% of these proposals, these things aren't in place. Today, in my company, that's growing like it's growing. You know, like, oh, we're gonna find, we don't have to do that. Well, guess what? You can be doing double, triple, if you just paid attention to the stages. We forecast based on this. We say upside is 50 and 60%, these two spots, this is our commit. So I can do this in CRM and say, I know what our commit and our upside is in the current month or the current quarter based on these stages. Now I want to keep on going. You go all the way down here. It doesn't stop at closing a deal. It doesn't stop. See, we close the deal, we implement the tool, and guess what? We've got an account management team that also has their own process, which is really important because not only do we want to win them, we want to keep them because it's way more expensive to get a new client than to keep one. I mean, you don't want to lose a client. The churn happens. And then we use it for marketing and branding. So this process is something I use. It's worked. I refine it sometimes based on the company, right? Sometimes it's shorter. Sometimes it can be more compressed. Sometimes it's longer. But you don't want it to be longer than this. I would say this is probably the longest one I've had, but it also has this component too. Any questions on this?
Well, you can hit a lot of roadblocks trying to do the discovery for the demo because many companies consider it a waste of time, especially if your product is easy to demo, so you can combine demo and discovery in one call. And if your salesperson is smart enough, you can address their pain points that you discover right here during the conversation, during the demo. Because otherwise it's bloody damn hard, especially nowadays, to get in the room the right people who can see your demo and who can identify the pain points.
So, you're right. You're exactly right. You can go from these 3 stages in one demo in one day, depending on the complexity of the product. If it's a more enterprise-y type product, it may take 2 calls. But I love shortening the sales cycle, right? Like what you're saying is you can get it done in 1 call. Good?
But I have a way more complex question to you. You've been selling a ton of different products.
Yes.
And that is a fairly standard for the enterprise sales and so
Sure.
on. Speaking of the city of Austin, for example, with a ton of creative people who are struggling to sell their art products, how would you apply that to selling something like movies or music?
Who's the end user? Consumer? Is it a consumer or is it a business? Who's the end user? Who would buy it?
There's a consumer oriented, yeah, a person who is writing the music, who is listened on top 10 platforms.
So what would they be buying? What is the
Merch,
What's that?
vinyl, like, music related merch.
Okay.
Music related merchandise, and just music, so
Small things or big things?
It's a musician. The musician is making music and they need to put together a sales process because they hit that roadblock. How can they utilize any parts of which parts of those processes that you already have very detailed in front of you would be applied to something which is not a SaaS product and not FMCG?
Yeah, let's say how to get from selling 500 records online to selling 8,000 records with the whole fulfillment automated.
I would probably look at this, shorten it to 5 steps and customize it very specific to that, because my background is B2B, except for my book selling experience, you know, like I did sell that, but I don't have a deep bit of experience in this. I'm not gonna act like an expert and say that I know all the answers, but I will tell you that there is a process, and the process may be shorter, and this probably is a big part of it. This probably is not, but I believe this is for selling the bigger, like if you sold, 6,000 records, it's like, this person is looking other places too, right? So how do you show up and be different than everyone else? Because at the end of the day, it could be a transactional purchase, but it could be a way, this could be a way, maybe not this deep for enterprise, but it's how do you connect with the person and their dreams and what they really want. If you can do that, they may be the person that buys 6,000 records every 4 months. And how do you connect the dots? But I won't say that I'm an expert on that process from a sales perspective.
Well, so in a nutshell, you think that the left part would be applicable to B2C and wasn't the right part, and then the devil is in the details.
That's right. Yeah.
Which you're not an expert on.
But I do believe that there is a process. It may be half the process, and we build it out specifically B2C.
Appreciate it.
I do
Thank
believe.
you.
Yeah. Any questions on this before I move on?
The big diagram?
This one here, what's that?
No, not the question which would not take the significant time of the evening.
You can catch me after. I'm happy to.
Yeah.
Really am. All right, so sales motion and tactics. So when I was at Dell, y'all, I don't know if you guys remember when Dell was really hot and they went public and they had all these multiples.
Yeah.
They were a direct company. Direct only. They custom built everything and sell directly to customers. Well, guess what? They put me in charge of channel partnerships. And the reason why is because they saw the channel start lighting up. And it's like, we don't want to be there, but we need someone to manage it. We know you can build it, but don't build it too big. that was the first sentiment. I'm like, well, why in the hell would I wanna do it? Like, that doesn't sound attractive to me, but they always would throw me in places where they were in pain and they wanted to solve problems. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. Okay. Well, guess what? What we found is that not only this right here, the diverse channels, you'll see that over a 2-year period, they pivoted their whole approach to direct end channel. If you go look at who they're partnering with now, they're partnering with everyone. They sell stores, so they pivoted it. Well, I was in the beginning part of that. In your playbook and what you do, I can tell you, if you can tap in, beginning, middle, or end, wherever your company is, into a channel, into a partnership, where you have access to 30 sellers, guess what? Your CAC goes down, your EBITDA goes up, and you have someone else selling your product. It's possible. It is absolutely possible. I've seen it happen. I've also tried it and it's failed. So don't think that it's the perfect recipe, but it does work. So understanding the channels. Inbound versus outbound. Look, I'm a sales guy, and I was mainly an outbound guy. I was an inbound guy, but I'm more of an outbound guy. If you put me out there, I'd want to do that. But I can tell you, they are entirely different. I believe this is one of those things that's a point of contention for everyone. They'll bring someone in that manages these accounts and does outbound. I believe the skill sets are different. They're just different. An outbound person, their skill set, and an inbound skill set, they're different. And if it's possible, from a cost perspective, I will separate those roles inside of the company. Because it's like, if I were to throw you an underhand pitch 85 times, and I would sprinkle in 15 fastballs, which one do you think you're best at?
Oh, the fastball.
That's right. That's the same with inbound and outbound, right? What muscle are you building? So that's what I believe in inbound and outbound. You're building a muscle and you're getting good at it, really good at it. And when you build the muscle, you accelerate revenue growth. Competitive landscape, we talked about that, I won't beat it up. Enhanced engagement, there are a lot of things happening right now that are really good. ABM is overused, now they've moved it to ABX, which is account-based experience. ABM's a part of it, it's a lot bigger. But I will say that there are different ways now to engage than ever with prospects. I mean, so many programs, outline, but I can tell you a lot of these automation tools that they're using, I'm not talking about here, by the way, I'm talking about it in business. They're using, like, everyone knows them, right? They can see the way the email comes in. How more creative can you be? You have to be more creative, but there are creative ways to engage. We had a guy, we sent some, this is, I'm not saying this is great, by the way. I came into this and I'm like, this is not ABM, by the way. We send these things of coffee that say company camp to the CEOs of these roofing companies, and for some reason they call us back. I don't know why, like, who cares about coffee? They're in Florida, they're in like California, we're in Oregon, like, it works. But it's not true ABM. So you just gotta keep A/B testing things on engagement. All right, on this performance management cycle, the reason why I want to share this is because we all talk about metrics, right? And the metrics are overrated when you talk about them. But if you know them and you know how to pull the levers, it's important. So in your business, what are the key metrics? The first thing I ask when I come to the company, walk me through the key metrics that make the biggest difference in your company. Some will say if they'll look directly at revenue and they'll say right here, we've grown 10%, 10%. Well, guess what? It's a lagging indicator. If you don't measure the things that are leading, measuring revenue makes no sense. It's like, yeah, you gotta report to the board, but if you're not managing, okay, what's before that? Opportunities. Oh, great, we're managing opportunity. That's another good step. More leading, but it's what drives the opportunities is what you need to be managed, measured, and tracking. Like, if you can do all three, you're gonna succeed. Differentiate, like this, I just talked about the leading and lagging indicators. Most companies don't really look at both, but it's really important. And you do not need a fancy tool to do it, but a fancy tool is really nice to have. So whatever it takes to make that happen. All right, deal reviews. You remember how I talk about pain, discovery, and all this stuff? Like, if you've got a sale, look, the person that's going to make a difference in your organization is the person managing the salespeople. 6 out of 10 of those people shouldn't be in the role, and it will make you miss your number. In every pipeline review, what you hear is, what is your commit? What is your upside? What are the numbers you're going after? That's all you hear. Well, how about let's look at this one deal. Let's talk about it. Let's go back and look at the sales process. Looks like it's in proposal phase. Let's talk about this. What does it say? Let's talk about it. Do they have a compelling reason to buy? Let's talk about that. What did they say when you asked this question? What did they say when you did pain by numbers? How did they respond? And sounds like they have a problem. Do they have some timeline of when they hope to have it in-house? Did you talk about, like, in situations like this? How have you made decisions in the past? Who all's involved? You get those things, and I'm in a deal review asking those questions. Guess what it does? It reinforces to the seller when they're in front of a customer that they know I'm gonna ask this question. And guess what? It provides a better customer experience, and it provides a better seller experience, and it drives revenue. It's important. All right, analyze calls. Not everyone has access to this. There's a lot of technology here. Gong is one that comes to mind, but there are others. If you have access to it, with AI today, it can fundamentally change your sales organization. Here's the sales process. Here's what I'm trying to find out. This is a call. Analyze it, coach me, give me 2 takeaways. You can do that in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And it works. All right, team retros. This is something I see that doesn't really ever happen. Like, we do a lot of things. We manage pipeline, we do coaching, we do all the things. But let's end the month, end the quarter, and let's do a retro of the quarter. What worked? What didn't work? Let's talk about the things that actually we should be doubling down on. What do we start? What do we stop? And what is it? Start, stop, and begin? Start, stop. Come on now, help me out. I need some help. But what do we start doing? What do we stop doing? And there's the third one. I'm trying to remember what it is.
Continue doing.
What's that?
Continue doing.
And continue doing. Yeah, start, stop, and continue. If you look at those 3 things, you say, here are the 3 columns. Let's do a retro on these 3 things. And let's just talk through it. Have the sellers on there. And what you need to know is you need to have your cross-functional team there. Sales, marketing, RevOps, sales enablement, all of them. Because if you're leading a function, you need them all there, so you walk away with very specific action items. Very cross-functional. All right, so this, I don't want you to look at this and think, wow, there are a lot of numbers on there, so don't like get scared. But this is my dashboard for my company. And this is what I put in place within 2 months. And the reason why is because we had an entire company working in silos. Sales, they're doing their job. Marketing, they're doing their best. Enablement, they're doing something. I'm not sure what they're doing, but they're doing something. They're trying. And then you have product. None of them were talking, right? I said, no. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a bi-weekly mid-market and enterprise week meeting. We're going to have sales. We're going to have RevOps. We're going to have marketing there. We're going to have product there, and we're going to go through this right here. Now you'll see on the top, this is outbound, this is inbound, this is marketing, this is events, this is revenue performance. The colors mean, hey, the number's off. So what we want to do is say, okay, well, let's look at this. Let's park here for 15 minutes, talk about the things that are going well, talk about the things that maybe aren't going well, and let's pick something. We talked about this. Sales accepted lead to a sales qualified opportunity is 7%. I look at that and think, my God, why is it not 30%? Well, let's ask the question. Okay, most people look at it and say, what in the world are the salespeople doing? Are they even selling? Well, guess what? Maybe, maybe not. Let's dig into it a little deeper. Let's go look at what do we have for enablement on how to drive this number. What do we have? Marketing is driving a ton of leads. Are they the right leads? Is our journey on the website driving the right leads to our sellers? Or are we getting 70% junk? Now, I like all leads, by the way, from a cold calling perspective. I'd rather get some leads and sift through them. But now we have an overload of it. This is low. This should be more like 20 or 25%. Then we dig into it, cross-functionally. And when you look at this, we look at all of it's green in marketing. Well, look, all of it's red in inbound. Can you believe that? So, in marketing, and granted, I've managed all of it, sales, marketing, customer service. Guess what? Marketing, they're getting their bonus because they're doing a good job. And sales is not. You see the problem?
The marketing, the more marketing spends your money, the greener they are.
Yeah, it's like they're doing great. They're high-fiving. They're going on trips. They're doing a great job. Well, I'm here to say that they are doing a good job. But I can tell you there's something wrong right here, right?
Bad leads, yeah.
And the thing is like, we don't know what it is, so the purpose of this scorecard is to bring it to light, right? We can see now, there is a challenge, there's a challenge. We also go to events, and we want to track, manage, and measure that, and everything's about revenue. This is the lagging indicator, but we're going to keep an eye on it. But overall, this is bringing everyone together, and I would say that my company is in Nebraska. Have you ever heard of Nebraska Nice? Nebraska is a state. They're nice. They're just nice.
Nebraska Fringe?
What's that?
Have you heard of the Nebraska Furniture Mart?
Huh? There you go. Well, they're nice, right? They're like people from the South, they're just nice, you know, and nobody wants to offend anyone. Well, guess what? This thing right here, I'm like, now's your time. This is the time we push back. This is the time we ask the questions that we have to ask. This is the time we say, hey, sales enablement, what's up? Marketing, why are you performing in sales? You're not. Like, what's going on? We gotta dig into it. This is an environment I have to evolve with it because I'm more direct. Just ask the question, we're okay. But now I'm worried about hurting feelings and, you know, everyone's like butthurt or whatever you say. But we're getting there. We're getting there. We're pivoting it. We're changing. Look.
This is handmade dashboard, or you automated it?
What's that?
This is handmade dashboard, so you do this like.
Yeah, this is one that I've used. I've used it at a couple of other companies, and what I want you to see from the dashboard is not the structure of it, but imagine your company when you think about how your playbook impacts your numbers and how you really manage, measure, and track it.
So, yeah, the question is how you put these numbers in this dashboard, so it's like automated?
Today it's manual.
Manual, okay.
Because we have Salesforce, we have Metabase, we have Pigment. I talked about the first company I worked for, we had no tools.
Okay.
This company has 22 tools.
Oh my
Like we have data out the wazoo, but we weren't really doing anything with it. So like, hey, we're moving this into a Metabase, into a real time. We're like days away from it. I put this together to say, here's what I want to see.
Okay.
Here's what the company needs to see. Right? All right, so I wanted to share this too because we talk about, you know, one of the important things I didn't say before you look at, you know, like what you do is like, okay, here's my market, it's SMB. What's our SOM based on our product? I put this together because we were marketing everywhere and we were getting good growth, so there's no reason to do this. Well, what I did is I did the triangle, where we focused. All right, now let's look at our SOM, and I created 6 regions just to make it regional so we can start tracking, managing, and measuring it. Here, I know in this region, in West Coast, $43 million SOM, we have $1 billion in revenue. And this many logos. I didn't put the logos in there, but now I know that, hey, maybe there it's a little different. When you look in the central region, Texas region, southeast, northeast, this is the future state, right, of where we're going. This is how you create repeatable, scalable. You gotta put a future state in place, and now it's like how we grow into it. We don't even have sellers that can actually align with all these yet. But we do have 2 here and here, but then we're gonna scale here, we're gonna scale here. And this is me showing you a little bit more about what I'm currently doing along with the presentation. All right, I wanted to share this too. I told you about a bi-weekly marketing or bi-weekly mid-market enterprise meeting. I also ask for 3 stories every time. And I want to know these things right here. Company name, employee size, I want to go through an industry, persona makeup, like are they a vice president of operations? I want to go to the decision criteria, how they make the decision, competition, pain we solve, paying by numbers we got from Discovery, right? That's what I want to see, right? And if we do this, and we do it 3 times, and we do it bi-weekly, and revenue operations sees it, sales enablement sees it, they can build it based on it. Marketing sees it, they can change how they're marketing to customers based on what they see. And then when it comes to a product, they're like, oh, construction uses it for that, maybe we need to build out something and do something a little differently. If you bring them together and we talk about, this is the customer feedback loop. Now, I'm sure there's a technology that solves this, but this is just the way I'm doing it right now, just to make sure that we get it. Okay, I'm going to talk about one last thing. One thing I brought into our company in the last 3 weeks is AI. Now, everyone's hearing about it, it's buzzword, everyone's doing it, whatever. But what I'll tell you is that, well, here's the question. Here's the thing that you hear. AI is going to replace salespeople. That's what you hear. That's what I keep hearing. I don't believe so. But what I will tell you is this. AI will not replace salespeople. But salespeople will, with AI, will replace people without. And we are in a base building process right now. Now's the time to learn. Probably a year ago, basically. But I brought in an AI go-to-market consultant that's been doing this for 3 years. We've gone through a few different rounds. I'm just going to share this with you, and I know that I think Beth, you may even talk about agents, but we're in the heat of prompting, right? He or she who is the best at prompting can accelerate and shave 10 hours off their week. I believe it. I'm doing it. I see it every day. There are tools. I mean, what prompt is, and I'll share just a small one just after this, just to give you an idea. Prompting is where we are. This is the base. Next up, workflows. We're going to be doing it. I mean, this is already happening, but it's not like as prevalent as prompting. Then you got repeatable use cases and semi-autonomous micro apps. This is something that happening now. Then there's gonna be autonomous agents. It's a fractional worker that works for you. That could be on the org chart. Then we're gonna be at agents. I think Beth was at an event where they're already talking about agents, like it's already there. Well, guess what? I manage a team of like 60. Well, I could be managing a team of 70, and 10 of them be autonomous agents that work 24/7 for my company, for us, for go-to-market. It's coming. And if you don't do this first, right now, like in your company, then 2 years from now, when you're like, oh, well, I wanna do this, you gotta go back in time and learn the base building to get there. So that's why it's important to know about it now and know that, hey, there are companies out there that do this. Just make sure your go-to-market motion, your sales playbook. I'm confident I can build a sales playbook in maybe 30 minutes to an hour with some of this prompting for everyone's benefit. You may get 70% there, which is fine. You spend time on 30% and 100% of time on executing. That's the game changer. What we want to do is get everyone in your go-to-market organization to become kind of superhuman. Superhuman in marketing, superhuman in product, superhuman in sales, superhuman in sales enablement. It's happening already. Like the people are doing it, it's like moving so fast. And guess what? I didn't put this slide in here. We spent 10 years with AI, and in 1 year, we moved further than we did in the last 10 years. And this 1 year is gonna multiply over the next 10 years. Who knows what's coming? But I'll tell you, if you're not using it and using it well or getting comfortable with it, just like working out at the gym, for an hour a day, I think it's a big part. It's a really big part of the future. All right, now, what I did is last two things, I put just two examples. They're very simple, but I want you to see them. This is Master Persona Creator. Imagine if you're selling to a certain persona. I used one, and I just put this in here. This is a prompt that I would put in ChatGPT. I want you to act like this is what I put here. We can put anything we want to put, right? CIO of a public traded company that's doing 1 to 10 billion in annual revenue. This is what I want to know, because I want to know when I go into a discovery call, I want to know what he or she is managed on. Identify the top, first, please identify the top 5 KPIs. Identify the top challenge you have in hitting those in this inflationary market. Identify, and then this is a really important piece, because if you're in this role, whether you're a director of sales or vice president of operations, these things are real. You can get these things before you go into a call. What are their biggest fears, frustrations, dreams, desires? And at the end of the day, it's prompting, and it will give you a great summary. You can take and you can build it out quickly. So, and then put a little funny at the bottom, right? I want to make sure I'm spending time with my family, so you can put that in there too. All right, second one, ICP Creator. This is another prompt. Now, I can send all these to you guys. I mean, this is not like confidential. I mean, I want you guys to win. It doesn't matter if you're a startup or a mature company. There are things you can do to accelerate growth. All right, so here's what I put. I need you to analyze an attached customer profile. I'll put a profile in. The data set to uncover insights about my ideal profile. This is me using a data set. I can use a data set and put it in there, and it will analyze it. They also have a component called deep research. Now, it costs more. It's like $200 a month. But I can actually put in and do a comprehensive, deep research on any topic, any industry, and if you put the data in there, it may take 15 minutes for it to analyze it. We'll spit out a 30-page report. Well, we used to pay $60,000 to Deloitte and a few other companies to get the same report. It's a big deal. That $200 is nothing if you need that type of information. But here, this is something that's really easy to do. And these prompts, if anyone ever heard of text plays?
Yes.
Text plays? So text plays, you can create all these prompts and make them you put 1 or 2 words in a slash, next thing you know it's prompt. So you can do it over and over and over and keep building them out. This is the future, folks. It's the future of sales playbooks. It's the future of go-to-market. It's the future of a lot of things. My focus is go-to-market. I do need some help writing emails sometimes too, because even though I'm here, I don't write very good English. I speak it sometimes, but not well. All right, in there.
Question?
I have two.
Okay.
One about the past and one about the future. Which one should I start with?
Whatever you start with.
Let's talk about the past. I want you to put yourself in the shoes of that salesman that you were years ago, like on the floor, right? And you're here in that presentation with a very sophisticated process and everything else, where you cannot even, you don't have enough time to read the PowerPoint slide while we talk, and you're sitting and you're, gosh, there it is again. Because you know on the floor that that sophisticated process only exists in the mind of the person who is imagining that, and in the real life, nothing even close to how what they imagine. But you're making your sales, but your process is totally different from what they imagine. But you're still making your quota, and they think that process works.
So, good question. I'll tell you, one thing you know about me is like, I genuinely do care about the people that report to me. I've worked for so many sales leaders that sucked. I mean, I would just soon quit. 70% of the people that leave their jobs because they're a manager. And you need to know what I do first, the people that report to me. I do 3 things. 1, I have them do a vision board. People say, oh, that's so cool or whatever. No, we're gonna do a vision board. It's gonna be around the core life, the way you wanna lead. It's about them personally. That's the first thing I do. Our team, we share them with each other so everyone gets to know each other. So there is a connection piece where we do get to know each other. The next thing is this. 1 page, 5-year career plan, where you wanna be in 5 years. Not where do you wanna be here, what do you wanna do with your career? He may, or she may want to open an oil change place. They may want to go get their master's. It doesn't really matter, it's their plan. But as long as I know it, and they have their vision board, and then they have their 5-year career plan, 1-page bullet points, that is what I leverage to motivate them. Because people are intrinsically or extrinsically motivated. Now guess what? 3 years ago, before COVID, 70% of salespeople were extrinsically motivated, and 30% intrinsically, meaning they just want to be the best, and 70% of the people are extrinsically, meaning want to make the most money, have flashy stuff, all the stuff. It's flop.
That's what I mean. Sales is usually a grinder and a revolving door at the same time. So all the motivation and stuff, people with it's very hard for them to be open to you because their goals is to quit as soon as possible and start my pet shop, whatever it is, which is not aligned with your business, because if you're in Dell, you want to grow that salesperson to sell mainframes eventually, probably.
That's right, yeah. The reason why I share that story with you is because my job is to implement what's good for the company and honor the employee's career. If I can do that well, when I present something like this, I've already tapped into what motivates them. And we need to align as a team to support our customers and our company. And guess what? I know how you want to live, right? I know it. And I know what your career plan is. And what I do with that is like, my ears are always to the ground. When you're in high growth, I'm always looking internally for people that want to go do something internally. I'll help them get there. If they just want to make the most money, that's great too. Well, guess what? You know, we can get you there. Here are some of the things that are company initiatives. So I will always leverage their goals. If they don't have them, they work for me. But if they have them, they work for themselves. And we're allowed to come. Make sense?
Thank you. And the second question is from the first one. So you have that plan and it doesn't really work because the real people are working for you and they're doing things differently. But at the same time, on the grand scheme of things, it looks like it works because they're making the quota. However, if you're replacing a ton of people with, if you're automating processes, you turn out to be automating the wrong processes. And it all starts falling apart because processes that you automate do not act independently like people used to, that work for you. They do not cut the corners. They do not have to feed their families. They just work according to the process that you put in place, and the process doesn't work, and you don't need the quota. And how would you build a process so you would catch that in the early stages and you would be able to pivot the ship off?
Well,
the
you know,
rocks?
one of the things I just want to remind you of, and, you know, at the end of the day, that happens all the time, right? What we figured out and we think is brilliant is not. And the way that I figure that out is I go right here.
It's just that you have humans with as a backup and with AI, you know.
Well, I was just saying, like, I go here, it's like, it's not working. What, why? Maybe it's the sales process is too long. Maybe we don't need to have 8 steps, maybe it needs to be 4.
Yeah.
But what I learned as a outsourced CRO is to have a growth lens all the time. And I know that what we have in place, it doesn't even matter if we're growing fast. having a growth lens and always looking for what you said all the time. Because there's no room for complacency in go-to-market. If I see this is low, I wanna know what the problem is, and it may be that the sales process sucks. It may be that it doesn't work. There's one step in it we should remove, and it doesn't work. Well, I've got my ear to the ground, and where do I learn this from? I learned it from being on sales calls. I learned it from doing pre and post calls with sellers. I look and we'll do gong analysis and figure it out. Because you can't be in a go-to-market leadership role and just be on the top, looking down, just admiring your people. You know, it's like things are going well. You gotta know the things, right? You gotta know, and you gotta be digging it all the time. And if it's not you, it's someone on your team that does it. Someone's gotta be doing it. I prefer everyone in leadership to be doing it, but that's just not realistic. It just doesn't happen, right? Some people just don't care. You know, we're doing fine, yeah, we're fine. You know, but that just doesn't work. So I go here, this is what drives what you're saying. I will go, we're fine. I'll track, managing, and measuring. It's not just to measure performance, it's like what needs to be fixed, right? And guess what? Things change over weeks, months, quarters. Your business changes, the messaging changes, the customer base, they're not buying that way anymore. It changes a lot. And the people that have the lens, the leaders that have the lens, they're like always on it. And they're the ones that continue growing. Because change happens, and it happens fast, and it happens often.
Thank you.
Make sense?
Yeah, it's so different to presentation and like some tradition with my resume. So I have a few slides and show how we use Playbook in our projects which I have. And one moment. Don't have like, a lot of time, but I don't have a lot of slides, so I hope. Yeah. I don't tell you my story because if you if you want to listen it, maybe we can talk next time. But all my life I work in sales, so it's like sales consulting company, like official form, which I prefer to tell and share. But I start from door-to-door sales as well. So I have 3 weeks. It was my most terrible time in my life. I don't like this
Not
story.
3 months, yeah.
Yeah, then I work in call center and maybe 1.5 years. That's why I don't like and hate calls right now. So if you try to call me, probably I miss this call. Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe I don't have some time. Try to write me or schedule some call and we can talk in video call and meeting. So it's like some troubles and some results from my profession. But from 2009, I worked like entrepreneur and we found the biggest sales consulting company in Ukraine. And it's called White Sales. And 3 years ago we found Big Sister AI. And these tools which measure metrics. So we were like super deeply measuring why some salespeople better than other. Because if you have some metrics which Brandon show you, like some revenue, some conversion rates, and you see this like some average or like some of the amount of the company. The secret is when you see the different guys in the team, and you see that one guy has like 20%, another 3%, one sell 1 million, another 10,000, and it's every time you can see the same page because some people don't care about Playbook, they hate CRM, they hate your rules, they hate your feedback because they believe you, they not believe you, they say, oh, I am a cool guy, I sold nice in my previous company, that's why don't tell me and don't teach me, I'm good, and I hope I can have better results next month. Because it's not my fault, it's like marketing, it's I don't know, service, product, different things. But what I want to add, because I had some maybe opportunity to understand and to look the presentation and understand that I can add something else. Because I agree, and we spoke with Brandon before that these stages with scripts with the same idea, and maybe I show you like some more simple version of our size. But I want to start from the biggest problem, which I saw in the playbooks and in rules, because if we speak about conscious and subconscious in processes, we can talk about some skills and some automation in our life, yeah. And imagine the most productive day when you, I don't know, made a lot of cool things in your work, and try to choose number of percentage how much time this day you use, like your in this case like subconscious, but in different way conscious. So how many times you made thoughts, and how many times you use your automation rules in your mind. So what do you think? Number of percentage?
85%. 95?
95?
Well,
40.
my heart beats in a completely automated process. That makes it 100, but that's not the question you're asking. I breathe automatically, and when I walk, I don't think about how exactly I move the muscles. We are very automated creatures.
So do you agree? 95?
99.
How much here?
99%.
99?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, usually if we speak about some scripts, some rules, about playbook, all people say, oh, I don't like the shit because it's more better to talk with everyone, my customer, in different way, be more human with him, don't be like a robot. But the truth is that 95% we use subconscious, and it's like some big problem for a lot of salespeople, which I talk with them about this, because they say, oh no, I think that it's something wrong. But no, we are like a robot. So if we speak about like our mind, it works like some software, yeah, with some scripts, with some rules, and I see on this problem with my case right now with English, yeah, because I need to teach all verbs, all rules in different ways, in different culture, in different market. But how I can to solve this problem? I like the case with games, because if you have any game, you have some plays for this game, you have some rules for this game, you have players. And if you play in some game without rules, this can be maybe not the best experience which you can have, because it doesn't work. So it's probably you can beat your partner in the game, and usually we try to choose one rules for whole team and works with one team, with one rules. And we can speak about this in different way, but I show you our pipeline, like pipeline conveyor with stages which we use, and explain how we merge this with Playbook as well. So we have idea that all inbound, outbound leads, when we put them on the CRM on the first stage, then we start working with them. And on every stage, we have some process rules which we need to do. And these rules we can divide on two like players, for robots, for machines, for automations, and for people. And first of all, it works like you cannot give some process and say, okay, this we automated, this we give for people. No, it's like the same process, and we can merge for human and for machines for both, because I need to understand what machines do with my leads, and like if you speak about me like a boss, I need to understand that, okay, on this stage we need to send something for the customer, and this I can put and delegate to the machine, to automation. This step I need to delegate for the humans, and everyone understand what can everything do. But the problem of the humans, that humans hate control, hate rules, they sabotage every time all these steps, and you need to put them, which Kim told before, like more simply than you can, explain these rules more easily, and we use two types of playbooks right now. So I show this like on the left and right side, but I show you more bigger number. So first moment we use like presentation type. It can be like Google presentation or PowerPoint, it doesn't matter, but we use it in the cloud because anytime we need to update these rules. So let's say that don't print it, don't save it, don't make some PDF. You need to have the link, and if you need to see some rules for some steps, you can put this on the some page. And maybe later I show you how it looks, but no, maybe I cannot show here, but I can show you some presentation. This one. So we have some rules, we have some conveyor, we have, for example, some stage, yeah, and we can show what you need to do in CRM, what checklist you have to work on this stage with your customer. And if you see the lead or deal on your pipeline on this stage and you open it, you understand what you need to do to move this customer right. Because I agree that you have only two like end of the pipeline, or lost or won, and you cannot put some lead on stage without any action, so you need to move right or lose this deal. I return to this presentation, and so what's the best maybe benefits of this type? It's more bright, it's more simple, and you can open some slide and remembering how it looks, and you don't need to see this anytime. So like usually it's like 3-4 weeks, and you remembering everything. And if you have some missing information, you can open again some slide and see that what you need to do, and then return to the process. But why we start using this option? It's like Notion ClickUp format, when you have some documents and you can put all rules in one place. But the best feature which you can have right now in all this like new I know dimensional software, you have AI. So you can ask AI, can you say how I can make some script for this call for this stage? And AI know all information in the documents and can put you some like answer and show you the right answer. But most maybe better benefits which you can receive, AI have access to the internet. So you can say, okay, can you make script, or for example, script for the call, script for the meeting with this customer, and show the link which you talked before. And you can receive final questions, final like agenda for the call, and this AI use your rules and some information from internet, and it can be super helpful because you don't need to see anytime rules. You can update these rules for your case in every step. So now we try to use this way better with customers. But again, it can be both sides, because you can use this like a picture and this like a documents, and give the people to this like not like a rule which you need to control. Give this like a script which I need to follow, and this helped me because I don't need to think. And we remember in this slide. So if I think only 5% per day, I don't like this, yeah, so I don't like thinking more than 5% per day. Maybe it's better to have any answer for any situation in my sales process, and in easy way, because I remember what I need to do in any stage, But if I need more deeper information, I can ask AI and explain me please what I need to do in this case, how I can answer for this objection, and what question better to ask this customer on this call, on this stage.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is it integrated with ClickUp and Notion?
We use ClickUp,
Okay.
yeah, but Notion has the same.
It looks like Notion on this side, looks like maybe ClickUp on this side.
Even Notion looks like a ClickUp, yeah, but it's I think that they copy each other. But idea that you can do the same with Google right now. So if you have Gemini more maybe much cheaper than ChatGPT with speed research as well. But if you have, for example, Google Docs, different presentation, you can ask Gemini in all documents, okay, help me with this and help me with this. But we use this one because the most important thing to show me how it looks, because I need to remember in the rules, I need to remember in the steps, I need to remember in the stages. Because if I remember in my mind, it works. I try to find answers. If I have some triggers, so I have trigger. I have a call. I remember in this script for the call. I have the meeting. I remember in some script for the meeting. If I need to ask question, I think, oh, okay, it's like 10 questions. And if I don't remember them, I can open this question or ask AI. So show me this question and more faster because I have the call. This version of commandments, it's like rules which you cannot stop. So you cannot say it's not for this case, it's not for this customer. So you must use these rules anytime. And this is so helpful. It's like Texas version. I prepared this before. I have Gemini model which I called Matthew McConaughey. I gave them give this model a lot of stuff from Matthew McConaughey. I say, teach me please Texas accent and Texas words. So yo, alright. Yeah, it's so helpful, but yeah, I need more time. Give me please this time. But what's the most important thing here? It's like 10 main rules for the company. When everyone knows that you cannot explain that you have some reasons, don't do this. You must do these rules anytime. I don't have the time to explain this, but yeah, if you want to talk about this, please send me a message and I explain you all these rules more deeper. And yeah, in resume, thank you so much, Kim, Brandon. Thank you everyone that you joined this event in this weather with this traffic. And I hope it was valuable for you. And if you have any question, recommendation, feedback, please share this with us. And thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
Like always, let's do photo. Yeah? Welcome to me, please, and we will do photo on this way. Here is more space for this. Let's do photo and you run. We will do it quickly. All this slaves. Let's do the photo, please. And smile. On the middle, I think. And on the middle, please. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I will do with selfie. Yulia, maybe some closer, please. Oh my God. It's like a small.
We've got this. We've got the stand. We can do a stand.
Yeah, I can make the photo and
yeah.
we can.
It has longer arms.
You can AI yourself in later.
Let's do a smile. Yeah, and say something like cheese, cells.
Matrix.
Let's say something nice. With you. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay. again and say something, smile, I don't know, sales?
Okay.
Sales? 1, 2, 3, sales! Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, Albert, how are you? Nice to see you again. Oh, thanks.
Nice job.
You're like rocking and rolling.
What's that? Yeah.
We had a blast.
Yeah, we introduced him, so
Yeah.
maybe more.
Yeah, it's like most of the things that you already have. And then just sign for.
This week. The last
He's on LinkedIn. Yeah, thank you. And I would try, because they still work, but I think they're kind of journey. Yeah, reach out.
Who asked me for parking talents?
I don't entire company today, we're working on that, we got the marketing machines, does really well. But the company, but I would always say, when I talk about revenue growth, You did?
Yeah. college.
It's a good experience.
It's brutal. It was great. It made me realize how it is. Made me realize how much scale it is. Made me realize it was scale. Man, I had something that could do this really
But what's your goal? Like, I like answering questions. What are you trying to do? Obviously not the e-com one. The other one is you want to, if you're spending money, if you have some kind of ad budget, do you have any ad budget? At least $500 a month, or maybe
talk about it. I just bought a
if you have like a couple of dollars, what I would do is simple ad, and the simple ad is saying the people looking for the people that need to learn something that will get the tour. So who wants to learn something in their way of learning? They see the tool and they're like, okay, that will work. They'll grab it. So it would probably people who are into affiliate marketing probably look for SEO, something about the website, right? So choose one. And how I would have you set your ad is like, hey, I have a training that will allow you to SEO to rank your customers like 10 times faster. The very specific training. This year, so that you have a list, start building that list, and then you can use the guerrilla way, which is texting them every day, like, hey, you are SEO, even more just type in this is an app. Search for
470 470